All right, you guys, welcome. I'm so excited for the social media boot camp. This specific one is going to be a lot of fun, and it is something that I am recording. And this is something that you can do every 6 months. You can do this when you have a new team member, when you have something that changes in your life. This is something that will, if you apply it, we're gonna walk away. It's gonna be a workshop, okay? So if you apply this, you should have 30 days of social media posts every single month. You should not have to think about what you want to post, okay? So before we jump in and get sort of kicked off, I want to make sure you guys have the worksheets. They're on United We Thrive. I posted them this morning. One looks like this, okay? It should be blank. And then the other one is your personal brand. Okay. And so I have asked Miss Stephanie Hansen and Miss Kathy to, allow me to sort of walk them through this and sort of coach them through it. So, because I do really think examples are so good. And I will tell you, why is this important? This is, once you lock this in, it is going to save you time, okay? It will save you time. It will save you thoughts. You now will know on Mondays, I'm going to post about this. On Tuesdays, I'm going to post about this. And so that is at the end of this workshop. We're going to try to keep it to 1 hour. That is what I want you walking away with. Okay. Please use the chat function. And I would love to first know, I want you guys to ask questions. I will be checking them. I probably will wait and answer them, towards a pause with the different sections. But I first would like to know in the chat, just drop in the chat, have you ever done any social media like pillars or buckets? You may have heard people call it like a 5s list or any sort of themed social media training. I would love to just know that. So I sort of know like what maybe people, and here's the thing, you guys, I had never done this before. Probably about 2.5 years ago, I started doing it. Now, why is it important for you to do this? One, is going to save you time. But the second thing is you're actually going to begin to attract your ideal person, okay, through your social media posts. People are going to start to say to you, oh my gosh, Joni, I feel like you are talking to me. They're going to say, I can so relate to exactly what you're saying. And you're like, I know, because I am talking to you. You're talking to people like that person, right? But that is the entire point of having this streamlined. This is, and y'all can pull out this first piece of paper with the questions on it, okay? And okay, good. So a lot of you have, this is great. And then a few of you have not, which is perfect. Okay. Vague idea. Perfect. All right. Well, I'm going to break this down super simple because I have personally not done a training like this for our team in probably maybe a year, maybe even a little bit longer. Okay. So I want to make sure that I break it down really simple. But those of you who have training probably already can start to sort of process some of it. Okay. So the very first thing you need to know is, why do you need a personal brand? Okay. Why do you need a personal brand? Yes, we're all thrivers. Yes, we love the way Thrive makes us feel. We love our business. We love the community. But why do you need a personal brand? People thrive with you or join your team because of you. All right. They choose to thrive with you because they've connected with you. They trust you. There is some sort of connection, or that they truly trust you. All right. Now, how can you build this relationship with total strangers who do not have a relationship with you? Through what you post. All right. This means that while you're doing things in your stories, while you're posting, you're going to be your own brand. So tonight we're developing your brand. All right. And again, those of you who are just joining, it is workshop series. So I want you guys now, y'all interacting, asking questions, giving ideas. If you have clarity, drop that in the chat. Okay. I don't want to sit here and just like it be lecturing. That is why I asked Stephanie. And where's Kathy? Oh, there Kathy is. Okay. To really sort of help through. All right. So we're going to start off with step 1. All right. So I'm going to be referencing this worksheet. It's all typed out very, very beautifully. Thank you, Miss Blair Critch. So, okay. So the first thing is I want you to jot some notes down, and I want you to ask who you are. Okay. So I'm going to be looking over here some because I always keep my social media buckets, and I just redid mine about 2 weeks ago. As soon as we got back from the Florida training, I redid them. I try to redo them every 6 months. Okay. That's just me because I change. There are certain things I want to talk about, and there's certain things I don't want to talk about anymore. So, who are you as a person? All right. What are the things that represent you? Okay, so I want you to think about these questions, okay? And I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to give you some time to sort of reflect while Stephanie and Kathy share. All right, so who are you? What are the things that come natural to you? How are you showing up on social media, and who are you speaking to? Let's take the very first 2 questions. All right, so who are you? What are the things that come natural to you? So I will give you my answers. For me, I am a mom of girls, a tween and a teen. I am a wife. I love to work out and to really make myself better. I love to inspire and motivate people and help people see things in themselves that they may not have seen before we connected. I love to be able to support other people. I love to motivate people. Okay. I also take very good care of myself from a mindset standpoint, from a self-care standpoint, whether that's working out, whether that's taking Thrive. I love Thrive. I'm a thriver, loud and proud. I love this business. Okay, so I want you to start thinking of things and think of things that come natural to you. So Stephanie, I'm going to toss it over to you. And I would love for you to just share with us some of those things that immediately come to you as who you are and what comes natural to you.
Okay. Well, if somebody was to see who I am, they'll know I'm a mom of 2. They will know I was definitely a baseball mom because everything's pretty much baseball related. Even though my boy's 26, still baseball mom. They would know that me and my husband's been together since we were teenagers. So, so everything I do, we do together. They see that I'm trying to get to the next level with whatever. I like to show progress. I'm one of those who likes to make people feel better about themselves. Kindness comes easy to me. I love everybody. It kind of just falls like that. Let's see. Things that are just really natural is very helpful. I feel like I'm a kind person. Like I said, my biggest thing is I love to thrive. I love the difference it made after being off of it and knowing what I missed out on. I'm able to tell people, look, you may have tried it one time, but guess what? So did I. Give it another shot because second go around is 10 times better, So I love the progress. I love to help others see that progress can happen, because a lot of people, they don't get the results instantly. They just ready to throw in the towel. I'm that person too. So I understand. So, like I said, I'm that person. I love to make others feel better about themselves. I got a, kind of personality that kind of jumps out there for that. But,
Perfect.
That's the best I got for me today.
No, it's amazing. And I hope that you wrote a lot of those things down because we're going to come back. I was taking notes. So, though that's so great. So I heard, a lot of the things that stood out to me that speak of who you are that you could start to formulate in your head is on and off the Thrive experience and how you felt coming off and then coming back on. That's a story. That's a story. Progress and being relatable, working towards your future self. That is so relatable. Kindness and helpful. There's definitely some things in there. And I think, marriage and being married as long, I don't know how long you've been married. How long have you been married?
We've been together 27 years.
27 years. Okay. Well, I knew it was a while if y'all started dating when you were teenagers, but I wasn't sure how long you guys. Okay. So, and then a mom. So this is, those are great. All right, Kathy, same questions to you. And you guys, I would love for y'all to drop in the chat as you are developing who you are and what comes natural to you. I want you to drop that in the chat as well. Okay. Because this is forcing you to take action right now. Okay. Take action right now. So Kathy, your turn.
Okay, so if I was going to describe myself and what comes natural to me, I would say I am highly motivated, highly independent. I'm totally fine on my own. I prefer to be in the company of others, but I'm very active. I love life, and I like doing anything that stimulates something energetic in your mind and your body, anything like that. I love healthy eating. I love physical fitness. I would say that I'm super confident, super outgoing, in most things in life, not in social media, the confidence, which is why I'm super happy to be here. I love connecting with other people and seeing them do well in whatever area of their life that may be. And I derive my energy from other people, even though I need alone time. I really feel the most energy when I'm with others. That's when I'm the happiest. Let's see, what else would I say about myself? I really do like healthy eating. It's just kind of, I enjoy eating well, and I like teaching others to eat well. I enjoy food prep and that kind of stuff. And I like smiling. I like seeing smiley people. I like giving people compliments throughout the day, no matter who they are, whether you know them or not. I like feeding positivity to others. So I'd say that's
perfect. I love it. Okay.
Some ideas.
I already have a lot of wheels turning for you guys. All right. So I see some of these other comments, and Tina, I completely understand where you're coming from about talking about you isn't easy. So this is just really like, it's not necessarily, yes, you are talking about yourself and who you are, but some of these things could be, it could be things like, I love the word that Stephanie used with progress. That is something like, she is a work in progress. I can definitely identify with that. And we're all we all are in that sort of situation, but that is something that she really is like working for. That's important to her. So think about some of those things. And I love this. Okay. So I love a lot of these things that you guys are saying. These are really, really great. Okay. So, all right. So the next thing that we're going to do is I want you to take a moment, and I want you to go and look at your personal social media. Okay. Don't go to anybody else's, go to yours. And I want you to see, how are you showing up on your social media? All of these things that you just wrote down, who you are and what comes easy to you. If you go to your last 10 posts, do you see how many of these things do you see show up in your life? Like on your feed. Okay. And I'd love for y'all to drop in the chat, how many. Some of you may be like, I'm killing it. And other people may be like, people, because you know what? It's sort of hard sometimes for us to convert like us, who we are, and sharing it on social media, right? But no one will know it unless you share it. I'm not going to go out there and, share everything about Stephanie every single day. So Stephanie has to do it. Right. And same thing. And it's not necessarily about you, but it's about these things of what establishes you. Now we're going to dig a little deeper, but I just want you to be aware of where you are at right now. And there's always room for improvement. Okay. Even, we always can do better. So see where you're at and just jot yourself a little note. Okay. Jot yourself a little note. I love it. Half family, half thrive. Beth, that's great. It's not always easy. Yes. I love it. Okay, you guys. All right. So the next thing is I want you to know who you're speaking to. All right. Not who you've been speaking to on this previous social media, but I want you guys have probably heard of avatar training, or you have heard of your ideal client. We're not going to go into that. That's a different training for a different day. But I do want you to think about, who is it that you love to help? So Stephanie, you mentioned like you love to make other people feel good and feel happy and you're kind. So who is it? Like when you think, you close your eyes and you think about the perfect, if you had the perfect person walk in and say, will you help me thrive and will you help me start my business? Who is that person?
Oh my goodness. You know what it is the mom that is struggling, that is just like, you know, I want to do better. I want to find me again. I want to know what it's like to feel good again. That's the person who's walking in and asking me for help. It's the person who says, I seen you last year and you could hardly hold your eyes open at lunchtime. What happened? What did you do different? You know, tell me what I got to do. You know, that person.
Love it.
I honestly, as silly as it sounds, I see myself walking in because I remember what I was in 17, and I remember, you know, yesterday what what a difference it's like, you know. And when you were talking about how I said the work in progress, I a lot of times when I do my transformation pictures, I will put transformation in progress because I'm not where I want to be completely. You know, I'm working on me. I've got a ways to go, but I'm making progress. So, you know, that's who I want. I want somebody who's like me, who's like, what in the world? Please help me, you know. So
Amazing. I love it. So good. Kathy, what about you? Who do you see when you are see the perfect person you want to help?
When I see the perfect person I want to help, I think I do, although I am not a mom, I am drawn to moms that have kind of set their whole life aside and have forgotten what it was like to show up for themselves in health or even in emotional or connections with others. So I see that as a very big area that needs help. And I also am kind of drawn to it for some reason. But really, I am drawn to anyone who is struggling to feel better, whether it's for their health, mental, emotional, they're just tired. I also feel compassion for women as they're aging, because I am that woman, and the struggle that your body kind of goes through. So that would be some of my target as well, for who I really like can connect with immediately. You know, I feel immediate connection to those people because I know what it feels like to feel that tired at the end of the day because I'm not 25.
Yes.
The Thrive makes me feel 25 sometimes.
Yes.
So I would say that those are probably, you know, the ones that come right to the surface.
Okay, that's perfect. So you guys, I see definitely people are typing in the chat. And here's one interesting thing. You may have heard this if you've ever gone through Avatar Ideal Client like training, that it is oftentimes the person you want to help is oftentimes resemble who you used to be or who you currently are. And that's who you really oftentimes are drawn or characteristics of that person, right? Because you can relate. And so I think it was very cool, Stephanie, you know, that you actually like realized that was really very, very neat. So, okay. So hopefully you guys sort of have a good basis of who you are and anything that comes natural to you, and then how you're showing up, sort of where's your starting ground, and then who are you speaking to? And here's the thing. The closer you can get to the person that you're speaking to, like that you see who he or she is, you're going to speak to a lot more people than just that person, but it will help you write your social media. It will really help you when you're like, yes, that is who I want. That's exactly who I'm talking to. Other people will relate, but it gets better when you're like, yes, it is that mom who has given up so much of her life for her kids and she's worn out and she's exhausted. Gosh, you know, it's the woman who gave up physical movement and eating healthy because of, whatever the excuses are, right? Like that, you can speak specifically to that person. You may be speaking to a lot of other people, but that gets more specific. So I'm going to pause really quick and just check. Does anybody have any quick questions about this before we move on to step 2? Or you can type them in the chat. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the next step, what we're going to do is we are going to brainstorm. Okay, I'm going to pull my social media buckets off so I can actually walk you through them. So, all right, so here's another thing that, just put this as a side note. We're not going to be doing this tonight, but this is the second time I did this through an exercise. And I went to my social media and I asked, because I was like a little bit I couldn't decide exactly what I wanted to be in these buckets. I had so much I wanted to talk about, but you can't talk about everything, right? So I went to social media. So if you get to the point towards the end of this workshop and you're like, I don't know, I have these 5 things I'm very passionate about, go and ask the people who follow you, like, what do you want to hear more from me about? And so by doing that, I will tell you, I'm just going to give you a rundown of my 4 buckets. Okay. Because I think this helps as we go into this next phase. So bucket number 1 for me is business skills and tips, which has honestly never, ever been a social media bucket, but it came through loud and screaming that is what people, like some of the people I'm connected with, that's what they want to hear. And then the next one is like my personal brand. So you'll see here, what are your buckets? Okay. And so your personal brand, you need to have your personal, like who you are. All right. So for this, like my personal brand is just mom energy. Like that's how I describe it. And then there's broken things down, which we'll go through. And then you need to have like, how are you going to brand your Thrive products? And how are you going to brand the business and the compensation? Okay, so I have 4. So I have a personal brand, I have the Thrive products, I have the business, and then I have business skills. Okay, so I just want you to start like thinking of these things. I'm going to walk through and give you some of the examples of each of these for myself. And then we're going to have Stephanie and Kathy sort of brainstorm. And then if it's okay with you guys, I will give you what basically what you shared and what I sort of think is a good little like branding for you. Okay, so brand yourself. So for myself, my brand is basically mom energy. I'm a mom and I'm super energetic. Everything else can fit inside that bucket. Okay, but that is who I am. Underneath that, motivation. So if you guys are, if you're one of the ones who has already sort of been through this, then I want you can sort of see where I'm going with this. You don't have to fill it all out yet, but just so you can get a visual, like right here in this big center would be mom energy. Okay, that would be mom energy for me. And then in one of these little ones would be motivation and inspire. Okay, that is something that comes natural to me. It is something that people follow me for. So what is that? Start thinking sort of like in these things. So motivation. The second thing that goes into my personal brand as a bucket is my mom life. All right, like I'm a mom. I live a mom life. I have this business built into my mom life. Another thing is I'm a wife. So that goes into my personal brand. Self-care goes into my personal brand. And vulnerability. Okay, so that's my personal brand. Okay, so let's talk, and then I'm going to give you really quick the other 2, just examples. Hopefully examples help you guys. The next one is the Thrive products. So this one is really pretty easy. So what did Thrive help you with? What do you love about it? Like that needs to be a brand. If you are on here branding, like it's not about Scream and Thrive. It's about what did Thrive do to you in your life? So for me, mental clarity is one of my little circles. Afternoon and evening energy, not just energy, but afternoon and evening energy. My mood, my sleep, weight loss, wearable nutrition, health education, and workout ideas. Okay, so that's a little bit more than the 4, but you can draw circles around it. That's just because I have a lot of things that it impacted my life about. And then as far as the Lavelle business, the brand compensation plan and the business, again, these are mine. They may not be yours, but Lavelle business is one of my brand buckets. And I talk about the VIP bonuses, about the car. You can get a car at the second rank of this company, that it's free to start up. Our training is free. Do you guys know how many people have to pay to start their own business, but they have to pay for training? We're one of the few companies that training is free. Paid weekly, you can work from anywhere, and the community. And then the last bucket that I have, because I really love to have 4 buckets, because I don't want it just to be about Thrive and about the business, right? Like I want it to be about my personal brand, about Thrive, about the business, but then what else? So for me, it's the business skills. All right. And so I have a lot of different things under the business skills. One is podcast, tools for building a brand. It'll be interesting because you guys can see as I'm doing this, this is a brand new bucket for me. So I'm going to be talking about tools for building a brand, such as like apps and different things that I do. I'm also going to be sharing my leaving my 9-to-5 job story and time management. So those are sort of the buckets, 4 buckets. So I want you to sort of walk through on step 2 and just brainstorm. This does not have to be your end all be all, but what is it about that you wrote who you are and what comes natural to you? What is it about that can brand yourself? What is it about the Thrive products and what is it about this business? And do you have another really, really, really big bucket to make a 4th bucket? So Stephanie, let's go back in to you. Do you have any ideas of what your personal brand bucket would be? Like what would be your topics to talk about?
I would, as silly as it sounds, I would name it Finding Me.
Finding You. I love it.
So, I mean, and then, based off of that, it would be, like I said, I keep going back to being on it in 2017, coming off and seeing what all I've missed out on. I've come off after a year and a half of being on it. And then it's like, I let myself go. I've just like, what in the world? And I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's trying to push all these other things on me. And I'm like, no, I want to go with what works. I know what worked for me. I know how I felt. And I'm like, why in the world do I want to even attempt to try anything else? So, oh goodness. I guess the best thing I have is Finding Me.
Okay, so I love that. So Finding Me is a bucket. Okay. Are you open to me giving you some ideas?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So based on the things that you shared in the step 1, I think for your personal brand under Finding Me, I think that talking about not giving up. Nothing to do with Thrive, but you not giving up. Okay. That can be a thing. That can be one of the circles that you talk about as your personal brand. And you guys, you can, when you go to write your social media, go to Pinterest and look at not giving up quotes. Go to a YouTube or an article or books or anything and get inspiration. And then you take that quote that inspires you and you interpret it to what does it mean to Stephanie? And what does it mean to that worn out mom? What does that mean to her? Okay. Another thing I think is something to do with kindness and being helpful. Maybe it's just simply, ways like small things that people can do to be kind to others. Maybe it's sharing some ideas about like being kind, not necessarily like, hey, if there's things that you do every day in your life, like share that with other people. People don't have a clue sometimes. If it's something that comes very natural to you, like sharing those. Also, I think just being a mom, and being like, mom life, things that you can relate to under like mom life is, you can think about anything that like just the natural things that you do every day in your life that may seem a little bit different, sharing those. Okay. Because you may share something that I'm like, oh, a great example is Blair years ago shared with me, and she shares it sometimes on her social media about her morning devotional time, sit down, breakfast time with her family. And like her doing that. And I was like, that sounds amazing, but I could never pull that off. Well, we worked our way, and had she never shared this, mom has nothing to do with Thrive, but it really like, it has truly impacted my family, like having that time. I never would have learned about it had she not shared it. So, and then another thing that you could think about, Stephanie, is just the balance of you working on yourself, being a wife, being a mom, and growing a business.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Everybody, I mean, most people can relate to that, whether they work a 9 to 5, whether they're married, whether they have kids, it doesn't matter. Everybody's trying to balance life, right?
Right.
Okay. So that gives you the Finding Me social media bucket. And then you have all these little, I like to call them balls, you guys. Like I want you to think about like a big, like pail, like a water bucket. And then inside are the balls. So you have your bucket, which is Finding Me. And then inside you have these 4 topics.
Love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I think like with the Thrive is, you guys finding balance. I know a lot, you guys all can put that down. Like these are, this is like, I mean, I think everybody can relate to that, right?
Definitely.
So the finding balance. All right. So the next one, and then Kathy, I'm going to come to you. We're going to work through your personal one. The Thrive one, you guys, is I'm going to give you some tips on this. I want you to think about what those first few things that Thrive did for you. And when you're posting about it, when you're posting about like mental clarity, or when you're posting about that afternoon energy, like, and you're speaking to that person, I want you to think about what it felt like before your life was changed with this product. I want you to think like, I know I took naps in the car for like 10 or 20 minutes, like pulled over in a church parking lot and I took a nap. I always pull in the church parking lot because it seems safer than like a grocery store. But like, those are the things. So I want you to think about what that is. And you're not just going like, oh my God, my energy is great, but you're talking to that person about afternoon energy, about evening energy, about sleeping. Okay. So think about what those Thrive ones are. Those are not as hard to sort of get through. And then with the business, think about what that business, like, why are you here? Everybody's here for a different reason. What are those things that you're here for? And talk about it. Try to at least have 4. Okay, so Stephanie, I want you to start contemplating also, like, you do not have to have a fourth bucket, you guys, but if there's something that's really on your heart that you sort of want to talk about, or maybe it's like you're super passionate about something, or maybe it's progress, maybe that's a bucket. So sort of brainstorm about that in your head. So, all right, I'm going to walk back through and just see if you guys had, before we hop over to Kathy. Yeah, I will tell you, Martha, over 50 tired moms, there is a place for 50 and older. There is a place for 40 and older. There is a place for that, because guess what? When you know the age of people, you can guess how they're feeling. There is a place for that. Do not shy away from that. Do not shy away from being the person who has grown children or has grandchildren, or just being the person who is coming to the end of their career or has already ended their career. Like that, you will attract people with that for sure. So Sarah, I love the fact that you said your hesitation is talking about, being a teacher. And I'm super curious as to maybe why that is. Maybe you can type in the chat and maybe we'll have some time to sort of walk through that, because I actually think that you, and I don't know if it's because of, yeah, just type in the chat and I may
in
have
my
some ideas for
PJs.
you. Oh, there you are. I didn't see you.
No, I'm in my PJs. I had my camera off because I'm like,
No worries.
okay. The biggest hesitation, I don't know what the holdback is about it, because the more I think about it and the more that you're talking about this, I'm like, why have I not been talking about being a teacher? It's like almost the essence of my being. Like, like I teach everyone and everything that that I learn, and it just like, that's what I want to do all the time, is teach people, like even if they don't want to be taught.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, why am I hesitating talking about it? But I think it's because of that whole like teachers need to fit in a box. Like in my mind, they all need to fit in this box, and I don't really fit in that box all the time.
Your box just has sparkles and bows and, streamers coming out of it. Okay. I actually think it would be incredibly powerful. That's why I wanted to ask you, what was your hesitation? I think it would be very, very, very powerful and very motivating, because being a teacher this last 2 years is harder than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And guess what? I may not be a teacher, but doggone, I know a lot of them. So I could even relate to your post. And it makes you realize like how hard it is, because people don't really know unless they're walking in your shoes. And so you could even like give some tips and some cues, and it's not a bad idea to make that one of your buckets, or at least make it like a ball inside who you are. And it doesn't have to be like a negative sort of thing. It could be like, here's a challenge that a lot of teachers are dealing with.
Yeah.
And here is how Sarah overcomes it. Something to think about.
Okay, I'll think about it.
That is actually how the business skills thing came to me, because I was doing a training on this, and I have been in business my entire life. I have an MBA. I'm like, why am I know business? Why am I not talking about business? I could teach so much about basic business, how to run a business. And that hit me. So if there's something so obvious to you, like sometimes, I never in my life thought about it. And then when I got some feedback from Beth Graves, she's like, freaking talk about sales. Why would you not? I'm like, really? You think we want to hear that? She's like, yes, they want to know how you sell. And I'm like, okay, so you guys, if something is screaming you in the face and you're like, I don't know if I should talk about that, the answer is probably yes. And if you're not feeling confident about it, go to your stories, go to your group of people, go to your team and just say like, do you think this is a good topic for me? Because I am screaming, Sarah, yes, this is a great topic for you. And I think it would be so incredibly relatable. We have to play around with some of the topics, but I do think it would be great. Okay, so Kathy, let's work on your branding of yourself. So do you have any ideas or thoughts about like what you want that bucket to look like?
A few. I don't have a good name like Stephanie did, but I kind of think I want my bucket to be, and somebody in here was talking about, there was definitely a space for 40 and 50. I really think that is one of my buckets, is to target or to inspire. I kind of just wrote inspiring females greater than 40 to continue to live a healthy, energetic, positive life for themselves, so they can, give fully to their families and to others. So that was kind of my big circle, was like the inspiration for greater than 40.
I love it. Inspiring women over 40.
I don't have a creative name for that yet, because I just wrote it down, but
yeah, no, you don't need a creative name. Don't feel like you need that. But I do think like inspiring women over 40, I think that is like a great bucket to have. And, there's so many things. Are you open to me giving you some suggestions?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So I wrote down a lot of the things that you said and you guys, you can see how we're going back to the very first questions. Who are you? What comes easy to you? And so I think the woman who has lost herself, it doesn't have to be because of any reason, but it just, they've lost themselves. It could be from a career. It could be from marriage. It could be from kids. It could be from, they just got busy and lazy and they had all the things going on. Like speaking to someone like that, I mean, that is so relatable, right? I also think that you're being a fitness coach. I would actually, this is a side note, I would actually take your fitness coaching and your healthy eating and make that your fourth bucket.
I put health coaching in my fourth bucket.
Okay. And I would underneath it do like some posts or some videos or something about, ideas about quick and easy recipes for the busy mom over 40, for the busy woman over 40. Like that's who you're talking to. You could also say, hey, like if you talk about somebody working out, like, hey, while you're at a soccer field or while you're on a Zoom meeting, sit on a ball instead of a chair, stand up, walk laps. You could make just some suggestions, like some posts about some of those things. Going back to your personal brand, I think, talking about like motivation and confidence. I don't know this, and you don't have to answer this, but most people in their life have had a lot of, have not always had a lot of confidence. So maybe if you have lived a portion of your life or have been in that situation, you can channel that back and feel what that feels like, lacking confidence. And what did Kathy do to gain that back? Can y'all hear my husband and dog? Hopefully you can't. It's loud. Okay, good. And then I think even under like who you are as your personal brand, I think sharing some things about just loving life. There is something to be said about loving life, even when sometimes we feel like life may not be loving us back. And I think that sometimes, everyone goes through storms and challenges in their life, whether it's health, whether it's family, whether it's regardless of what it is. But like when you have certain things, when you have a good mindset and you spend time in your mindset and you spend time moving your body and you spend time around a supportive community who's on the same track, trying to be better, like that could be something that you talked about under your personal brand as well.
That one really speaks to me.
Yep. People love to see the vulnerability side, you guys. And this is something that is a huge weakness for me. And I really have tried hard and continue. It's something I continue to work on, is to be more vulnerable and putting things out there that are not like, woe is me, but like, or poor me, everybody feel bad for me, but almost like, here's a vulnerable piece and here's what you're doing about it. And so if you ever find, like, as you're going through things and stages in your life and you're like, oh, like that, yes, like I just said really negative things in my head to myself. Hello. I mean, how many people say negative things to their heads and themselves? All people every day, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, it happens. So just sort of thinking about that and like, what do you do when you realize it? Maybe today you didn't do anything. You just let negative self-talk take over. That's okay to talk about. So does that help, Kathy?
Yes, definitely. One of the things that I was going to share that I put in one of my little ones was also like mental rehearsal. I don't know how many people ever do those. We talk about them a lot in my health and life coaching. We do a lot of mental rehearsals like athletes would do. And I think that might be a good place probably for a lot of people, depending on what your bucket is, but to walk people through a basic mental rehearsal to envision what it feels like to be that person, whether it's, us becoming where you want it, what your goals are within Thrive, the business, or your personal health goals or fitness goals or nutritional, whatever they might be. Really, really embodying that and walking through it, breaking it down into little teeny tiny steps at a time. I really feel like mental rehearsal, it really works for me when I really get down to the dirty details. So I think that might be another place if I can figure out how to share that on a.
And some of your things may end up being live video. I will just say, like, one thing that you shared with me the other day about just eating, even like eating lunch and going to like a space, like I have done that, and it's amazing the change. Like I would have never known that. Like imagine if you share something like that. Like those simple things that are probably very natural to you, but to someone like me, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I know that I should do it, but I also could get 20 more minutes of work while I'm shoveling food in my mouth, So like, those are things that you are educated on that come easy to you that a lot of people don't know.
Right.
You should not eat and work, you guys, basically.
Yes, everyone. Take your lunch.
Okay, so I want to, before we move on to the final steps, is I want to I see in the chat group, a lot of you guys are like, I want to talk about the business, but I have a 9-to-5 and I don't want to get criticism on I'm stretching myself too thin, or I'm not sure, about that. So here's what I want you to think. The majority of people that start a Lavelle business do not start a Lavelle business to become a millionaire, to make, 6 figures a year. They start their business to pay for the groceries. They start their business to get themselves out of credit card debt. They start their business to pay for their child's activities that cost $300 a month. That is what you can talk to. And that you can talk. I want you to think about when your paycheck comes in on Tuesday, what are you doing with that money? I don't care if it's $15. That is $15 more than what you had. Is that helping you go out to lunch? Is that allowing you to go get your nails done? Sorry, Jeremy. I know that's probably not what you're using it for, but because Jeremy was one of the ones that asked. But I want you to sort of think about that. And if you're one of the questions that comes up a lot is like, I haven't had success yet. So how can I share all of these things? You guys, if you have one customer, you've had success. You have helped one person thrive. Okay. You talk about you shout your team members out. Every customer that shouts out, that orders from you or that has an experience, or another team member, a sideline, someone else, like you borrow their stories until you have enough on your team. Like you borrow other things. You borrow the what if. You borrow that this is what I'm doing with my paycheck this week. Okay. Like you have had success. And the cool thing is what are you doing today to move it forward? And you can talk about that. Success doesn't always come in dollars. Okay. Success comes in personal growth. Success comes in, gosh, I get an hour back in my day because I have more energy. That is how I can manage a 9-to-5 and growing a business on the side. Go look at Forbes magazine. What do they say is the number one potential income stream to have besides your job? It's network marketing. You can talk about that. You can talk about all the reasons of why this company, it's free. You guys, you don't even have to order anything to get a paycheck. So think of those sort of things. People cannot relate to, starting a business and being like making 6 figures the first year. People can't relate to that. Okay. So talk about the VIP bonus, because I can guarantee you there are people in your life that need that $1,300 before Christmas, or they need it in January to pay off their Christmas. That fits everyone. It doesn't matter how long you've been on this team. Okay. So I love it. Yes, I am recording. Okay, so I want to go back really quick to Beth's question about how do you share issues of aging parents with dignity. So that's a really good question, and I think that you can just. Are they on social media, Beth? kind of, sort of. Okay. So I think you can
My
just,
dad tries to be.
okay. Well, first off, I do believe this is my personal opinion, which is, why I don't share a lot about like the things that we're going through or have been going through with my daughter's health, because like it's her story to tell. I can still talk about the struggles and how hard it is without like putting it out there. So you can still talk about those things without maybe blasting them out, but maybe you ask if it's okay to share some of, the things that you're going through. And if they say yes, then I don't see anything wrong with it. So maybe I don't know if that would be something they would be open to or not, but I would definitely look at that and ask them and talk to them about it. And it could just be the theme of caring for another person, and people can relate to that, whether it's an older person or a baby, because they sort of act the same sometimes, right? So, okay, so we're going to move on to step 3 and step 4, and then I will look. I just want to get through this because I wanted y'all to be done by 9, but if I'll get to the chat and answer some more of the questions. So step 3 is now you have all of these things. Okay, so you should have been able to fill out your main theme and then the things that you want to talk about it. Okay, so these are the themes, and this is what you're really going to be talking about. So step 4, okay, and on step 3, the themes are there. And that's sort of what we were just working through. So step 4 is, and you can use, you guys, the back of this, you can use your notebook, like whatever you want. But basically, and I gave y'all some of the examples of mine here, okay? But basically now that you have them, you can start to write the more specific things. Okay, so I'm going to give you the examples. So like personal brand, mine is Mom Energy. And I break it down into my bucket, my little balls inside are motivation. And under motivation, what am I going to talk about? Because I need things simple, y'all. I'm like, oh my God, motivation. There's so many things you say about motivation. So let's break it down even more. So you've got your bucket. My bucket is Mom Energy. My ball, the little one, is motivation. And what am I going to talk about? When I go to talk about motivation, on my social media, probably 4 times, probably on Mondays, 4 times a month, most likely. What am I going to say? I'm going to talk about my faith walk. That's going to show up. I'm going to talk about not giving up. I'm going to talk about my mindset work. I'm going to talk about balancing family life. Okay. So these are things. Now, if I were to talk about those 4 topics under my motivation ball, which is under my personal brand of Mom Energy, I'm going to be able to have, that is 4 days worth of social media posts. Okay. If you want to even break it down even more simple, you can just say, okay, Mondays, this is my Monday post. Okay. So the next example, still under my social media bucket of my personal brand, which is Mom Energy, the smaller ball, the smaller circle is going to be my mom life. All right. Now, what am I going to talk? What do I want to talk about under mom life? Again, you can talk about a zillion things, but we're narrowing it down here. I'm going to talk about like mom hacks. I'm going to talk about boundaries. These are actually things that I've never talked about. Boundaries with kids. I realize that is something that a lot of people really want to learn about. Boundaries with their children. And that can be like cell phone boundaries. It could be like rules. It can be whatever. Parenting tips. So those came from a poll in my story. Okay. So another one is, okay, so I'll give you another one because this may be really helpful for y'all. Vulnerability. Still under my personal brand, still under Mom Energy, but I know people need to see me be vulnerable. All right. I know that enough about my personal brand is that people need to see that from me. So what am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about what I was then and what I am now. and my change in confidence. Okay. I'm going to talk about being a brain tumor survivor. It's not something I love to talk about. It's difficult for me to talk about, but I need to talk about it once a month. I'm going to talk about body image, which is, something I have not ever been very vulnerable about. And then I'm going to talk about education on the things that, from a health standpoint, that my daughter deals with. Not relating necessarily to her, but just from an education standpoint and vulnerability and like the challenges. Okay, so think about what those things are, and I want you to break it down even smaller. All right, so Thrive products. I'll give you some examples of this. So like, I'm going to give you some examples for Stephanie. So for like Thrive products, okay, her before and after, transformation in progress. Okay, she can not only share her weight loss transformation, all right, and she can talk about not like, I've lost, how much weight have you lost?
41.
41 pounds. Okay. Not like I've lost 41 pounds, but what does it feel like to slide on a pair of jeans 41 pounds lighter?
Oh, very well. Love it.
Yes. So like, that is what we're talking about. When we're talking about weight loss or transformation, we're going specific. And you guys, if you don't have a ton of time to write this, all you have to do is put a before and after and say, it felt so good sliding on 3 sizes smaller pants today. Or something along those lines, right? Right. Like it felt so good going through a drive-through and choosing a healthier meal because that's what my body craves now. So another thing, Stephanie, you could talk about, under your Thrive is the energy, like, because I know that your energy and your mental clarity, you could talk about specific things along those lines. And this goes for anybody, you guys, but specifically, so I want you to think about what those are, but then I want you to think what's changed in your life. And that's your social media post.
Okay.
Kathy, I think it's really super cool for you to potentially talk about in your Thrive is that this product has been good enough for you for 6 years. And I think it's okay to say that. Like, I think people would be like, they're hearing you start to be vocal about it, but people don't realize you've been on this product for 6 years because they're hearing you talk about it. And it's almost like, let me kick myself in the pants for not talking about it. It's good enough for me. Yeah. But I think that people will laugh at that. That is relatable.
And that is honestly how I've been my conversation starter. Because for me, I feel like it says, like, look, I'm not just trying to get you to, this is something I truly believe in.
Right.
I was just shy about sharing.
So you guys think about some of those things and what you want to do with all of this. When you get this filled out, okay, so when you have these things filled out, all right, and then you have like off of each little small bubble, you have 2 to 5 or 6 things. There are some that I have a lot I want to talk about. When you have those things all completed, now you have all of your content. You're talking about the same thing, but in a different way every single month. Okay. I will tell you, the smaller that you can get it, the better, but I can never narrow it down because I feel like I talk a lot and I have a lot to say. And as your time goes on, there's more and more you want to talk about. But if you're like, I don't know what's important, like go and do a poll on your stories and say, hey, I'm working on some content. I'm working on like some things that I'm going to be sharing this upcoming year. What do you want to hear from me? And just ask. Okay. Then what you can do depends on how structured you are. Okay. I'm a structure kind of girl. I do better with structure. You can look at it and you can say, all right, on Tuesdays, we get paid. So on Tuesdays is an easy day to talk about your Thrive business. Okay. So maybe you make yourself every Tuesday, I'm going to say something about the business. That's an easy one. Friday, a lot of us post something about Flex Friday. So maybe you put yourself, you talk about the products on Friday. And then you look down here at your product and you start saying, okay, what do I want to talk about today? Thank goodness, my afternoon energy, thank goodness I've been getting the best sleep of my life, and talk about sleep. Don't talk about the same thing every Friday, but you have several different things to talk about. On Sunday, maybe you talk about, how you're prepping it, how you're prepping for the week, how you're doing self-care, how you're relaxing. Maybe it's your faith walk that you're talking about. But you can sort of start to theme your days, okay? And you can even say, like, every Monday, I'm going to talk about, my personal brand, and pick something from your personal brand. Every Wednesday, I'm going to talk something about wellness. I'm going to share a wellness tip if that's part of your brand. And you can just sort of begin to talk about it. Here's the thing, the second Tuesday of the month, I don't care if you don't have a car. I don't care if you're not there yet. Talk about it, you guys. Like, the fact that this company gives you an auto bonus at the second rank. Do you know most direct sales companies, you do not get a car unless you're like the top 5%? It's amazing. There are like over 400 people on this team that have qualified for a car. Maybe 500. I don't know. There's a lot of people with cars. Shout one of them out. Or just talk about like car payments, anything. And so what you'll want to do, and I would encourage you guys to apply this to December. December is, a few days away. Start applying it. Don't give up, because when you first start going through this, you first start thinking about like, okay, I'm going to start posting in this sort of order. It's going to take you a little bit to like remember, what did I say I was going to post about? Once you fill this out, take a picture of it and put it in an album on your phone, because you don't want to walk around with a piece of paper, right? Put it like somewhere that really helps you. I'm going to read through some of the comments really quick. Stephanie or Kathy, do y'all have any like questions about anything that we talked about?
I don't have any questions, but I do want to say thank you. I appreciate it. It's helped a lot.
Oh, good. Thank y'all for allowing, me to help you. Okay. Jeremy, question, what do you do if your posts are being seen but not receiving interactions? Okay. Okay. So one of the things, you guys, one of the things that I'm going to look over here at my checklist. This is a great thing to write down. Ask yourself, and this will become second nature once you get used to this, but ask yourself before you post, is it inspiring? Is it informing? Is it entertaining? Like, it should really sort of fit into one of those categories. Are you simply showing up for others? Or are you just posting to check a box? Because a lot of times we will post, I'm guilty of it too, post to check a box. Like, let me throw up a post real quick. But who is that serving? Shares, like a lot of times when people share a lot of things, like from, I don't know, like anything, or you allow people to tag you and not review it before it goes on your page, it gets really, really, really like somebody's only going to look 3 or 4 posts down. Don't don't share things unless you're not building a business you got to remember, everything that goes on your social media is your brand. Unless it's like something that fits your brand, then I may even copy and paste it and reference it instead of share it. So Jeremy, having a call to action, a call to think, call to action is a CTA, a call to think is a CTT. A call to think can be like, share your comments, go check out my stories for this. What do you think? Drop below an emoji, and here's the thing, we do have, team up with people to do like an engagement pod and drop your engagement in there, and then, share, like, go talk on people's posts and they'll come back to you and talk on yours. A really good rule of thumb is if someone's commenting on your post, it's really great if you have the time to go directly and comment on their post, sort of like share the love, right? But Jeremy, that will come with time, but just think at the end, you got to tell people what you want them to do. Like drop a heart if you agree.
Kelly, could
Yes.
I interrupt? One thing that in that same realm that you told me to do in one of our conversations was if I saw someone viewed my story to make a connect with that person, a direct connect. So I started a list and started making a direct connect with those people. Hasn't necessarily given me more views on my post, but my stories went way, way up. And I did get asked about Thrive by 3 different people, just like random. They were like, oh, I saw, and it was something I had posted on a story before that I didn't, they probably viewed it, but I didn't realize they viewed it because I didn't really keep track. But now I kept track of who I reached out to.
Good.
So if that helps, Jeremy,
Yeah.
it does making that connection with them. And we talked about like connecting like over like, oh my gosh, your dog's so cute. For those of you, I was in the veterinary world forever and love dogs, animals. So anyway.
I think that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Such great tips. And I think that's sort of what you have to, what you have to see. And you guys, I will also try to maybe over the next month, you guys remind me if I forget. Okay. Those of you on my direct team. I will try to come up with a few like captions and maybe like calls to actions, different things that you can say to help build engagement. One good thing, if you have the time, is to go on and comment for about 10 minutes before you make your post, and then comment again for another 10 minutes. And I do think, to speak directly to Jeremy and Caitlin, I know Caitlin had the same question. Once you are speaking directly to your avatar and you are speaking these very consistent themes, you're probably going to see people post and comment and correspond with you that you're like, I don't even know who that is. Like as you're growing your network, it will happen. It's a process that you sort of have to trust. And here's the thing, you guys, recycle your content. Think about the things that you're doing in your life every day. If you take your capsules every day, post it on your stories. I'm telling you, people, post it on your stories. If you're doing a devotion or you're reading or you listen to a podcast or you're going to work out, post it on your stories. Like people want to see that. You can say, hey, I'm thriving in my everyday life without dropping in their inbox and saying, do you want to thrive with me? Right? Like these are things that happen, and the more consistent you can be, the better that the more trust you're building up with people. Okay. Yes, I totally get that. Sarcastic themes and things. And that's okay. That is sometimes what I find when people have a lot of like memes, or they share a lot of things, or they just sort of are on there to like, have for comedy relief, and just like, there is generally something that they're, I want to say the word hiding, but that's not really what I mean. But there's generally some sort of vulnerability that is stuck within them. And people aren't comfortable. I mean, most people don't go and like put this much effort into creating their content, right? They're just like out there being social. But you want to be social and create good content because it'll attract people that you can serve. And that is truly what having social media buckets is all about. Having your brand is all about. And so it will definitely, like, as you broaden and as people start to see you being consistent with these things more, it's definitely something to think about. Another tip, you guys, when somebody asks you a question, that's a great post. All right. It doesn't even have to be like, if it's a question that you had, you can just say, somebody, like I had a question. I'm going to make a post about this on my next like day to post about Thrive. Is I had someone say to me, those jumper cables you post every day, are those things actually going to give me energy? I'm going to post about that. I'm going to say I got this message in my inbox. I'm not going to call the person out, but I'm going to like reword it. So they don't know I'm talking specifically about them, but I'm going to say, this is a common thing that people ask. Human jumper cables. Does that equal energy? Because you guys, sometimes we're not clear enough. We talk about, we talk in a different language than certain people sometimes. And so, yes, camouflage their feelings. Thank you, Duran. Very, very, very good. That is so true. Okay, you guys, that was the main training. I hope that you walked away with who you are, what to post about, getting very specific. Yay. Now you gotta use it. Don't come on here and do all this work for you and not create your brand and follow through, because each of you are your own unique brand. Each of you have so many people that need your help and that are want to be attracted to you and for your help. And speaking to them directly through what you post. And then when you're connecting with them, I promise you the consistency, it will happen. And you're going to get better at it. Go through December, post about these things. If you see other people, get inspiration from people. Don't copy and paste their post, but get inspiration from people. If you see someone post something, like make it your own. It's okay to do that, right? So, oh, yes, I will agree with that. I saw Kathy say, if you put a picture of yourself, people really do. That was a transition also, you guys, putting a photo of yourself. It is one of those things that you're like, well, I remember when we were in Florida a few weeks ago. So I was like, do you have all these, like, just you get dressed up and take these photos every day? I'm like, gosh, no. Like, go next time you like get ready, go block yourself an hour and get yourself a tripod, or have a child or a spouse or somebody, or swap it out with somebody and take a ton of photos. Like, I recycle photos from 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Like, use them. People want to see you. I used to think it was like super snooty, and then somebody got educated me, and it's like, no, they relate to you. They relate to Jeremy. They relate to Kathy. They relate to Stephanie. They want to see you. So post photos of yourself, and they can be in action shots or, doing what you're talking about in your post. Okay, well, I am excited. I hope this was helpful. You guys, that is really what concludes the training, but I do want to offer anybody opportunity to ask any questions. But if you are good to go, you're more than welcome to hop off. Thanks for being here. This was super fun. I'm gonna take a picture really quick. Does anybody have any questions or need any clarity on anything? No? All right, we're gonna be.
Oh, I had one question.
Yes.
Does it matter if you post your actual post versus your stories? If you post at the same time every day? I played around with it sometimes, like, because I got some advice that said, people, if you are a 6:30 a.m. poster, your people start looking at 6:30. And so I played around with 6:30 in the morning, middle of the day, night, like when this was just myself. The only thing I noticed was what I shared, that if it was a picture of me, it didn't matter what time I posted it.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think that being consistent is super helpful, but the time of day needs to be the time of day that your connections are online. So for me, I really need to post around like 6 or 6:30 in the morning. It doesn't happen most of the time. So I would actually rather wait till lunchtime than put a post up at 9 a.m. because most of the people that I am trying to connect with are at work at 9 a.m.
Right. Yeah.
And so that is, you guys are so welcome. That is something that I would play around with and see. I know a lot of people like to post in the evenings, so maybe toy around with it. Maybe spend an entire week and post at a certain time in the morning and then spend an entire week and post at a certain time in the evening. Instagram will give you your insights. If you have a creator or business account, which you all should, it'll give you your insights on when people are on. I don't know how accurate it is because it says like 3 p.m. for me. And I'm like, I'm not really so sure that most people are on at 3 p.m., but maybe they are. I mean, it's pretty steady from like 12 to 9, but 3 p.m. seems to be, yes. So, I would play around with it, but I do think it helps. So.
I also wanted to, I'll just put it in the chat. There's a site that I use called Kapwing. I don't know if anyone else uses it, but it's free for posting and you can add a lot of texting and play around with your photos and it gives you stock images or you can upload your own.
What's it called?
It's called Kapwing. I'll stick it right here in the chat.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, I will have this uploaded. I won't upload it until tomorrow because it'll take a little while to download and then upload to YouTube. But I will put it on there. It will be a unit. I don't know what unit we're going to put it in, but it will be a unit. And then if you guys, I put also in the chats, if you all want Wednesday night, I am doing a December goal setting training workshop for us to do. It'll be 30 minutes. So if you guys want to attend that, you're more than welcome to. And I actually am having an actual worksheet like actually made this time because we use the same things over and over, but it's going to be a worksheet. So, all right, you guys, y'all have a great night. Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody.